2 million plus small business funding 2022 tips and strategies for long-term success. Not just getting something that works for you right now, but what will work for you in years to come, as well as EIDL updates, PPP, grants, employee retention, tax credit, with a few other things in there I'm going to get going on. My name is Michael with Viral Funding Solutions. I am an expert business loan broker. I've been doing this for quite some time, being able to gratefully help out a lot of businesses during these times of need to help them get the right type of capital so they can work at it right now as well as develop in the long-term future. So I'm going to be getting into some share screens here in a moment, going through some of the docs that I put together. Some of them may look familiar if you've seen it in the past. Some of it will be a little bit new. And I'm going to be meshing those together and going into what it really takes to get small business funding, not only in 2022, but also this will be relevant for 2023 and moving forward. But I'm also going to address the interest rates as well as the impending recession, our current economic state, and a few other parts and pieces to this puzzle. So that's enough of an introduction. I do apologize if it is a little bit dark, by the way. Like I said before in the past, if you've been here at this new computer, HP lighting, sometimes it goes light and then it goes dark again. But what I want to get started on is getting the updates out of the way. Perhaps you're here wondering, hey, is the EIDL going to open? When should I be expecting to do an appeal again? Or when should I apply ever? There is no news right now that it will open up within the next couple of months, as I've been saying, as well as in the new year. Now, that's something you'll want to stay tuned for. There's a lot of stuff going on. You can see in the courts, a lot of battles going back and forth with the senators, Administrator Guzman, and then there's a few little things going in. So as that goes, I'm not going to go ahead in that subject at the moment, but just know that I'll keep you up to date with EIDL. PPP, just a lot of fraudulent activity on top of EIDL. An investigation is happening. And so just something to be aware about. And a lot of people who are actually trying to get away from the EIDL loan and find other alternative means of funding, which I'm going to communicate with you guys in a moment. So I'm going to leave it at that point right now. With EIDL appeals, usually it's hard to get that right now because they had it open for a little bit and it's been quote unquote closed. I mean, I'm sure you can get your emails in, but it's a matter of them even reading it. So stay tuned for that. And then on another subject I want to get into is the employee retention tax credit before I get into this next part. If you haven't even started looking at how to get up to $26,000 per employee, this is a refundable tax credit through payroll. That is something that still is available. And if you're interested in doing that, perhaps I have already spoken with you. I've sent you the information, how to get started. Perhaps you do need help with that. Perhaps you filled out a questionnaire on my site, which, by the way, if you are new and perhaps you are already a subscriber or you're a part of a different email sequence and you haven't received this, this is what you'll want to know. Down below in the description, I have a questionnaire form you can fill out for funding. And what will happen is I will evaluate it and analyze it and then be able to give you a proper response back via email on your best funding option and options. Very thoroughly broken down from the intro all the way to the conclusion. And in the conclusion, it'll show you what you should do, what I recommend, as well as what could be your roadmap. And this is all a part of being in a part of a strategic partnership and having the right roadmap with myself. And a lot of people come through me because I am very personable. Like, I don't look at you as a number. I look at you as a human first. You have feelings, you have thoughts, you have a way of thinking, and you have a way of forming your spirituality. And in a sense, I care about you first. Your business can come second, which I get. That's the point of it. It has to make sense logically, which I'll do. So that questionnaire will be down below in the description. A lot of people take advantage of it. And again, you'll get a proper response back via email. I am a bit flooded, so I usually catch up on Fridays and Saturdays. So I'll do quite a bit of that the end of this week, Friday, coming up tomorrow and Saturday. So with that being said, small business funding in 2022. What do you need to know about getting up to 2 million, 5 million, and even more or less? before I jump into the share screen, I have a lot of people who ask me, what are the rates? What are the terms? I've said this before in the past, not to sound redundant, but I know you need to hear this over and over for it to actually stick. If you just heard it once, would it? Maybe. But would it? No. And would you rather take action on it? Perhaps, maybe not. And so, what I tell most individuals coming into the online world looking for small business funding or any kind of funding of any matter is it's less about the interest rates, especially in today's market, everyone. Whether you can get a 5 to 9% interest rate, 5.5 nowadays with prime rates, and that could be increasing. And so 5.5 plus however much it means to each service. So it could be 5.5, which is the prime rate plus 1 to 2.75%, or 5.5 plus 2.75% for most SBA loans. And however they're calculated over 10, sometimes over 25 years, even with real estate. And so with that being said, you could also get 5.5 plus 1 to 2%, 5.5 plus 2 to 6, 5.5 plus 2 to 8. It just depends on the service you are looking to get. And if you don't have collateral, this is the part that's going to be hard hitting for you. If this is your first time looking to receive funding online and you go, well, I don't have collateral, I don't have real estate, I don't have equipment, I don't have accounts receivables, I don't even have an AP report, I don't have inventory I can liquidate, I have nothing I can take out equity, a liquidity injection. Well, what is available for me? So not too long ago, I made a video on the business loan interest rates that I'll try to link you to down below. And for everything you need to know about, look in the description. If you haven't filled out the questionnaire and you're trying to get in touch with me, that's the best thing to do. And if you already have, I said again, I've been flooded. So please be patient with me. I still have to get back to quite a few people, after this video is done. And I will be quite busy doing some of those tasks. But that'll be down below. I came out with the video on the business loan interest rates in today's market with our economy on where it is. Specifically here in the US, it is where the interest rates have been climbing. I don't see them just dropping, and they can only go higher. And what that means is a lot of people are fighting for the lowest price more now than ever. They're shopping around trying to find something that literally it doesn't exist. And when you come speak to me, because I have the best lender, the best lenders, the best underwriters, literally, I have them. You've probably heard of them online on TV shows and stuff like that, commercials. I have those lenders that I work with directly and indirectly as well through a brokerage, but I already have those partnerships. So when you're looking for something that doesn't exist, it's because nobody ever explained it to you. You probably have already received an advance or a loan, and you're like, well, I don't want a long-term, I don't want a short interest rate, or short-term, long, bigger interest rate, or a factor rate, total payback, one of those things. So it depends on the type of service that I'm getting into. I don't want to go too far in depth. But what you have to think about is the benefit that it exceeds your repayments. So your interest rates for these uncollateralized options are going to be more medium to higher. And that meaning it could look like 19% to about 70%, sometimes even more. But you have to be careful about which lender you go to. Most people just apply saying, oh, I heard about this company online, or they just ran an ad. And no, that's not what you do. A lot of the times you get a robotic response. You're speaking to a representative, but they're not giving you everything. Literally, they're not showing you everything. They're not breaking down the underwriting guidelines. They're not showing you the ballpark. They're not giving you more in-depth information. It's not always going to be them giving you all that. If they even knew it, they can't share it all the time. So you have to be cautious about where you turn to. So if you don't offer up collateral and you're like, well, I need to get a monthly 5, 10%, 15% as most I can go up to, that doesn't exist. 15% maybe if you're substantially have revenue and you're doing like millions, you have great to excellent, actually excellent credit to even be brought down from 19 to 15%. And so uncollateralized options mean, yeah, you're looking at that 19 to about 50% range. Now, do you get 19 to 30% interest, or do you get 30 to 50% interest, or 50 to 70% interest? Now, that's a determination on what we call fundability details. Now, there's 125 specific details, like little tools that go into determining how much of a fundable client you are. And that just means things like business credit, personal credit, time in business, revenue, industry specific, NICS codes that can determine your risk if you have it in your domain or if it's a part of your title and you're in a high risk industry. A lot of lenders will look at that and shy away from one of those being construction. Right now, I have people who could have received 300,000 or so in like a line of credit and on top of a term loan, but because of the market today, they're getting less than that. They're getting probably 100,000 or so less, 50,000. It's because of our current market. And because it's specifically as a construction industry, and you could probably see this across the board, you're depositing less per month. And so I'm going to get to that subject in a moment. So please stick with me, guys. This is going to be some very amazing stuff. We won't go on for too long. I'm going to try to cut it short before 30 minutes. Okay. I know I've said that in the past, but I'm going to do that. And so with that in mind, you have to think about the benefit exceeding your repayment. If you are fighting tooth and nail, I see it every day. Unfortunately, I'll tell you about what happened the other day with a lady looking for better rates. Didn't make sense to me, but you're fighting tooth and nail. Like, well, I don't want a 20, 30, I don't want a 35% interest rate or factor rates, cash advance, business loan, term loan, 1 to 2 years. I was hoping for more for 3+ years with something maybe 19% on a monthly repayment. And I'm trying to think to myself, okay, it's time for me to educate you on how this actually works. Grab a pen and pencil. Actually, you don't need one because if I send it to you back in an email with the questionnaire, you'll have a better understanding of what this is. So don't fight for the lowest price. Fight to get the best terms, longer terms, and better repayment. Sure, you can drop your interest rates over time when you build that relationship up with myself and with the lender and with the underwriters, and you get the best. You actually get the most flexibility. Like right now, we're trying to fund a nonprofit, but we need some Secretary of State information that needs to prove some credibility behind it. And without that, it can't go through. But would somebody else have done that? No. Would another individual who said no to their offer now, but they're going to have a higher revenue month going to apply next month, be able to get as much if they went elsewhere? No. Another company, another low-tier lender was offering them 100 to 200,000 less than what we were giving them. Were we giving you a 200,000 offer? If your revenue goes up, then maybe this time we get you 300,000. But that other lender said, no, we're going to stick to 45,000 this time. Which one means more to you? And what can you handle as a repayment? Sure, you may get a 40 to 45%. Maybe it's less than that interest. Maybe it's in the 19 to 30% if you're an A-tier paper lending client. But regardless, if you got 40% interest, you're sitting on a 580 or so FICO credit score, 600. You have the revenue, you have the cash flow, you have the time in business. We're going to look at the market. We're going to look at the average daily bank balances, how many sales you're making per day, monthly average sales, monthly revenue, and a few other components, but you're strong enough to service that debt over the term that we gave you. And then you probably didn't get the longest terms because of your profile. So what do? You be in good standing. If you got 6 months, you pay off that amount in 3 months or so, halfway, and then we can look at resizing that deal, or we look at getting you more funds, and we look at restructuring things to refinance over time. How much of the balance have you paid? A lot of individuals do not think of that, but when you come to me, you'll see it. I'll show you how to think when it comes to getting business funding. And I've been doing this for quite some time. I've received business funding myself too for my businesses. When I first got started, it was difficult, but that's another story for another time that I won't get into right now. So what you have to understand is the benefit, I know I've said this multiple times, has to exceed your repayment. If you can get a longer term initially, start there. Maybe you get a 40% interest rate, but you're like, well, I qualified for 15 months at 40%. That's okay. It was better than qualifying for 12 or 10 months. Good. Now, what is my repayment going to look like? How is my cash flow? How am I going to do in 3 months from now? And it isn't like everybody thinks that a daily or a weekly repayment is necessarily going to break down your cash flow. It's going to hurt you. Everybody's in a different position. You may be cash flowing positive, and you're saying to yourself, well, I can service the debt. It doesn't matter if it's a daily or a weekly repayment. And the problem then becomes is you're hearing it too much from everybody. And the people who struggle the most with the daily or a weekly repayment are those who don't even have enough cash flow to suffice the actual debt. And so the difference is you're talking to somebody who's who's struggling, and you're talking to somebody else over here who's doing exceptionally or doing well, and they don't qualify for a monthly repayment, which I'm going to show you guys on the share screen what that actually entails. So one more time, benefit, repayment. If they're head on, it may still work. It just depends on your cash flow. And it depends on your purpose of those funds. Will it actually double, triple, quadruple? It doesn't look like it if you're right here. But if you're going to double, triple, quadruple, then your repayment is just going to stay over here and it's going to go far away from just the benefit. Benefit, boom, boom, double, triple, quadruple. See how that's going up? This is staying the same. This is going up. And then over time, what happens is this goes down and this goes up because you drop your repayment with better terms and better rates. But a lot of individuals, like I had a lady the other day, I already had another position. We're coming in on a second position on a cash advance. How would we expect you to get better rates because you're a proven client that you can make the payments? That's not exactly all we go off of. We go off of more. How much of the balance have you paid off? How much do you have remaining? And what did you get initially? What's your current market? What's your revenue now when you're applying? What is all these different circumstances? So in a lot of cases, you're going to be getting a higher rate if you're going to get a second to third position. That's just common. You're going to get less, probably a lesser term, and the rates are going to be a little bit higher. However, there's more of an underlying reason than just the rates. Like when somebody tells me I'm rate sensitive, I don't know, it's more than just a rate. It's your cash flow. How are you doing with revenue? How are you doing with your expenses? So I look at all this, like bank statements, year to date, financials, profit and loss. I just spoke to one of my underwriters recently about a client getting an SBA loan. He told me about the underwriting guidelines and the issues and some of the things that were happening and what he could get approved for. And so none of this comes to a surprise to me because I've been in your shoes. Now, let me jump into the share screen. I know you're tired of seeing my face and my grown out beard. You're like, I see you now. You have a bigger beard. And yes, I am growing more. It tends to come back fast and I, just trim it down. But let me get into the share screen here. And I'll come to the comments in a moment, guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. I want to get through with this first and then I will get to that. So let me jump into this document. Now, before I go into this may look familiar. On the topic of business loan interest rates, when you're looking for small business funding or business funding of any nature, the best is going to be the SBA. How do you get those 5.5 plus 2.75% today in today's market? Rates. A lot of it is going to be variable, meaning that every quarter, about every 90 days or so, you will be assessed on where you currently are. What is the current market telling us? What is shifting, if anything? What is appreciating or depreciating? And so there could be a readjustment based on some of those many factors that we all look at. So that's okay. That's what happens. You can get a fixed rate, but it is probable, especially in today's market. And you just have to have exceptional details in the use of funds and what the circumstances are. So there's quite a bit of that. So SBA, you have that. You have personal loans, startup loans, if you qualify with higher credit. SBA is cash flow credit collateral based. So you have to have business credit. Everybody in here who submitted my questionnaire, you have to have business credit established. I have a lot of business owners right now who do 6 figures, 7 figures per month. And guess what? They want an SBA loan. However, that's right. You lack business credit worthiness. You haven't even started it at all. You haven't even have anything reported. You don't even have a paydex score. You can't even assess the FICO SPSS between personal and business credit. Yet you want an SBA loan? Oh, but I wasn't profitable. But you weren't profitable 2 years. We look at probably 3 years of tax returns, but the most 2 recent years you weren't profitable together. Like, I get what you're doing. I understand your reason, and it makes sense what you did. But you're overlooking the fact that profitability and debt, those come into play. Your debt service coverage ratio, which I calculate, it's not in the parameters that I want, then that can disqualify you amongst a few other things. So whether you're looking for an SBA loan at the top or not, you have to have personal credit above 680 or so. You have to have established business credit, good paydex score. I'd say even an 80 and above. If it's a little bit less, we could try to overlook it. We just have to make sure the cash flow is all there and all the other pieces of the personal credit, as well as the first thing they look at is cash flow. Second, they'll look at equity, liquidity, collateral. So if you have real estate, great. But the first thing they want is accounts receivables. If not, it's okay. You have enough cash flow to service the debt. They can give you up to 10 years, up to 25 years with real estate or with the real estate use of funds for, and a few other things. So that's at the pinnacle, SBA usually. And there's a lot of other ones. You have unsecured term loans, you have secured term loans, secured lines of credits, but do you have collateral? That's another question. If the SBA is not attractive or it doesn't work for you, maybe we can go through the secured assets and look at getting you an alternative. We can get you better rates. We can get you less than 19 or so percent. But then underneath that, you have unsecured financing with private lenders and non-private lenders, or you have these term loans up to 1 to 2, 1 to 3 years, sometimes even up to 10. But it's quite hard to do that nowadays. And so to get those, you're looking at 1 to 3% interest per month. So if you got 12 months, 12 by 2%, you were assessed at a risk, you have 24%. So a lot of you guys think that's high. Well, I'm not saying it isn't. What I'm saying is, does your benefit exceed your repayment? Cash advances. You have that hybrid cash advances, lines of credits, unsecured lines of credits, personal / startup loans, equipment financing, everything you can think of, I've actually gotten funded for. And I know what everybody is looking at in specific industries because I specifically worked with one, and then boom, over time, and then now I understand it very well. So over here, let me come back to this document. And a lot of this information, guys, will be down below, especially if you're interested in getting an SBA loan and you want to know what the constraints are. I made content on things like SBA EIDL versus SBA 7A and a few other things. Oh, this is not the actual one right here's what I want. Okay. So what it says here on the screen, perhaps this looks familiar because I posted it online in a few other spots, but I want to kind of recap, since I'm making this on a Thursday, kind of go through what I went over parts of the week, not all of it. So you want a monthly repayment on an alternative business loan advance, but you didn't know this or forgot about it. Hi guys, Michael here. Are you struggling to get a monthly repayment on your business loan / advance and don't know why? I'll cut right to it. Do you have collateral? Do you have strong cash flow, 25K plus per month or 50K plus per month? If we're speaking about these cash advance hybrids, or 300K plus in annual gross revenue, or 600,000 plus. It's not enough to just say I have 300,000 and above. There's more. With strong credit, stronger credit, I'll say, usually a 660, sometimes 680 and above, and 2+ years in business. It can also be industry specific, and are not over leveraged in cash advances, fees, and have business credit established. That's the key component too, is do you have business credit established? Because these will report to the Business Credit Bureau. Now, it depends on which one, depends on each lender. And so I can't say for sure it'll be to this versus the other. I will have that information in time, but a lot of cases it will report to business credit. I have seen some where it won't, but for the majority, especially in today's market, that's why it's a question of when you're getting small business funding, separate your personal from business. Now is the time for you to do that before the end of the year. I've spoken with plenty of you. You haven't taken it serious. You're just doing this. You're just dancing around, just wondering if I come by next time and I apply again with greater revenue, then I'm going to get that line of credit, or I'm finally going to get an SBA loan. That is completely wrong. And that's called insanity, trying to get the same result, not even fixing the diagnosis. And I get a lot of people, believe me or not, who come back to me that way and they expected something different. And I go, well, I have already tried to share with you how this works. Now, that doesn't even need to be said. Like, I'm not going to be your parent. Like, I'm here to guide you. I'm here to help you as a broker. I'll be there every step of the way. I care for you. However, like, you're not a child, right? You shouldn't throw tantrums. And I'm getting frustrated. Well, you haven't fixed what you needed to. You're fixing a symptom. You think by fixing your revenue, you think by fixing your time in business that you'll qualify for a line of credit now? I just had an in-depth conversation with an underwriter of mine. He's saying, oh, you wouldn't believe how many people, not only you send me, but that people come through me expecting the line of credit or an SBA or another form of like a term loan. They have no business credit worthiness, nothing with personal and business credit, nothing separated. They're expecting a line of credit. We can't even have this report anywhere. We can't even check in depth. Like, that's hard to do. And it's just the reality. So back to this, and I'll come back to the comment section. Do you have strong cash flow and credit and collateral and strong cash flow, credit, and collateral all together? Do you have strong credit and cash flow? Do you have well-established business credit? Like, I want to go ahead and bold this for everybody, because a lot of the people who fill out my questionnaire or people who speak to me have a different expectation. Like I have people who do 6, 7 figures. It doesn't matter if you're doing 6 or 7 figures. And I'll come back to the question here in a second, or the comment. It doesn't matter if you're doing 6 or 7 figures if you don't have business credit established. I want you to guys to get that into your head. Like it has to have business credit worthiness. And if you don't, that's why a lot of people in equipment financing who come to me, they say they don't have business credit. Well, go fix it. Oh, I don't want to fix it. Well, I gave you a free material to work on. In about a month or two, you probably would have had more reporting to your business credit bureaus, and then you're waiting another 3 months to get business funding again. What are you doing? So work on your business credit so you can establish it. And this isn't me being negative for those of you who are just tuning in and going like, oh my God, this guy, I didn't know he was like that. This is tough love. If you're taking this the wrong way, if you're acting soft about it, then go deal with somebody who's going to just go around the fence and tell you, yeah, come over. I'm going to overpromise them and underdeliver. And they don't tell you, they're like, okay, I'm just going to overpromise them and underdeliver. If you want somebody who's going to act like that, if you want somebody who's inexperienced, go do that. So we don't waste our energy and time to begin with. But if you want to deal with the best, and you actually want my attention, like full 110%, then earn it. Like the thing is, I have to earn yours, but that's what you're asking. But I'm also asking of you, can you reciprocate? If I'm very punctual with you, will you be able to give me the feedback? Will you be open-minded? That's another question that I'm asking about. So these are the components you must consider if you're looking for a monthly, let me bold this, monthly repayment. That's the topic. If you're sitting on a monthly line of credit repayment, then you better have strong cash flow and credit, even business credit. I'll even put this in green so you guys can really see this. Even business credit. If you want an SBA loan, you better have all three and good FICO SBSS score and PAYDEX score. Now, the FICO SBSS score is a determination of how well you're keeping up with your personal credit as well as your business credit. So right there alone, if you don't even have FICO SBSS, what are we doing talking about an SBA loan? Usually I'll let you know what the parameters are. So if you don't know it, don't be feeling guilty of it. You don't know it because somebody else hasn't communicated with you. They don't educate you on all of this. There's a lot more that goes with the FICO SBSS score that I can bore you on. But I'm not going to go into that topic. There's a lot of stuff there. And then the PAYDEX score, like I said earlier, an 80 and above is usually good. If you have it more or less, we can work with it. That's okay. We just have to make sure this is strong. Cash flow, what other parts of the business, how much business credit have you already established? Because PAYDEX tells us one thing, how many trade lines, how much more deeper we have to look at. If you want collateralized based funding, it better be sufficient enough. And I'm saying this like as in a tough love, like, hey, this needs to be, we already understood the education on how this works. Now, this better be sufficient enough. You understand everything to this point. So better be sufficient enough, and you may still need to meet sales/revenue demands, but without a credit score requirement. And what I mean by that is when you're using collateral, a lot of the times we don't look at a credit score. We're not looking at what requirements you have. You have to have a 680 like an SBA loan. No, if you don't qualify for it, then this may be the next best step. Like, okay, I have collateral. What can I do with my real estate? What can I do with this equipment that's appreciating, or how, whatever part of the market it's in? My inventory, what can I do to liquidate? How much do I need to liquidate? Accounts receivables, how much control do I want to give up? Because I have ultimate control. That's why accounts receivables, unpaid invoices is the most attractive solution for an SBA, as well as when you're looking at private lenders, when you're using up assets to get that type of financing. So don't just rely on the SBA if you don't have all that details and you have collateral and you feel comfortable with giving it up to get what you need. Otherwise, we'll go into the next part. You may still meet those requirements, If you want an uncollateralized monthly, so let me back up here, a monthly uncollateralized revenue-based financing loan/advance, and this is now the part where you don't have to offer up collateral. So we just went from SBA, credit, cash flow, collateral, lines of credits, uncollateralized. You can also get those collateralized. And then we went to more specific asset-based financing through private lenders, not SBA related. And now we're getting into the uncollateralized option. And I have separate videos that I made on all of this in the past, down below in the description. It may be in there more or less, but I've already talked about the cash advances, the merchant cash advances, the lines of credits, the business credit building, everything you guys can think about. I've already done and I've created on this channel. And I'm very appreciated that each and every one of you have tuned in. I wouldn't be doing this if it weren't for you. I care about value more than a number or more than money. Honestly, I do this because I love what I do first, and then secondly, I believe in the value that you guys can get out of this. And if there's some kind of reward from that, great. I get it's a business, but for me, it's more about the personal approach, and I love what I know that I can share with you guys, because you guys can't always find everything of this online. Not all of it is exposed and shown to you, and a lot of it is out of date, especially that. So if you want a monthly uncollateralized revenue-based financing, then you better have higher fundability details, and that meaning, like I said in the beginning, revenue, credit, time in business. It could be collateral, but you don't necessarily have to play that in as the ultimate factor or the most important one. And you haven't over leveraged yourself. You guys heard me say that earlier. Over leveraging yourself in different advances. You want to come in on a monthly repayment, yet you have 2 advances that you haven't even paid off over 50% of the balance, and our lender doesn't feel comfortable coming in on a third position or consolidating it. Sure, we can consolidate it, but we're not going to come in on a third position and just gonna pay all those two or three, however many you have off. They would rather come in on a first position. How much do you have remaining left on your first position? So we can probably just consolidate the remaining 90. You've already paid over 98% or so of the balance, or 90%. Or they want to see completely of it paid off, so they can come in and say, hey, we can get you funding, and then we'll get it underneath the monthly repayment. But I'll show you why that isn't always an attractive solution. I just spoke to an underwriter on the subject too. The truth is this: monthly repayments are not, and this is the part, you guys have to understand this closely. A lot of you guys don't understand. Before I say this, a lot of business owners don't understand their expenses. They don't understand the profitability of their business, what they're doing to help it, to actually put it in harm. But I did this. If I wasn't did it, yeah, I understand why you're doing what you're doing, and it makes sense. However, from our standpoint, you're servicing debt. How can we give you this amount over this amount of time without going to do a default, never being able to receive funding again in that industry? How does that make sense to us? And so a lot of business owners, they want to go away from the daily, weekly repayments, and it could be justified. You could be that person who could be, quote unquote, says, I was on a daily, or maybe it was a weekly, or you went from daily to the monthly, or weekly to then a monthly. And you go, or you just started monthly. You go, well, how do I get there? That's what we're going to answer. But you can't just say, oh, well, I wanted a monthly repayment, but you only qualified for a daily or a weekly. You qualified for a monthly, but you cannot take on any more debt on top of the credit card fees. You have rent galore. So you expect us to give you an unsecured financing of about $6,000 or $7,000 per month on top of, or maybe it's less, $3,000, $4,000, however much you're getting approved for, on top of an additional $6,000 to $7,000. So we're getting close to $20,000 per month is what we're talking about here. Seriously, you want us to give you $20,000 overall with all those different payments you have? We come into ours, you're likely to default because you can't make the payments on your rent. You can't even do it on this. So you expected a monthly repayment? You think we're crazy? You think we don't see that? Now, it could be different if you didn't have that, or it was that high enough and you did qualify, and it makes more sense for you to take a monthly repayment because of certain circumstances and probably how you get paid or other things that make sense with the use of funds. But not always is it going to be a monthly repayment. So let me jump into this part. Like I said, monthly repayments are not, in bold, always best, especially with more medium to higher rate services like the advances and even the unsecured term loans. And I wouldn't even say lines of credit, because lines of credit, you can keep your monthly, weekly, daily, sometimes repayment low. And the way it's paid off with principal and interest, and then the draw fee, it's actually a lot less than getting a lump sum, let's say that, in unsecured financing. So if you get a lump sum, yeah, the rates could be higher. When you get a line of credit unsecured, you're looking at it a lot less when it's amortized weekly, monthly, however it is done. However, it depends on how much you need. The line of credit may not give you enough, so you may need the term loan or the cash advance or another form of financing. Or you can add the two together and get you more funding. So those are a few things we can compile. So higher rate services like advances and even term loans unsecured, as opposed to the SBA. So this is not including the SBA, guys. Like, oh, I can get one on an SBA loan. Well, we're not speaking about that. The SBA, it's different. Yeah, if you can get a monthly repayment underneath an SBA up to 10-year working capital, maybe up to 25 years with real estate and so forth, who wouldn't want that? Because it stretches out your term. You may not get so much of a stretched out term with an unsecured term loan, but what you have to make sense of is, are you doubling, tripling, quadrupling your profits, or your that could be part of it. But for reverse engineering, it has to be looked at on a monthly level. And then from monthly, how are you doing over time? So that's what we want to answer the question to. And you may not know that because you're the person dealing with the product margins and the marketing and the advertising. Maybe you do the business operational expenses, or your partner, whoever it is, while somebody else understands and does the financing side. Well, you better be speaking to your accountant. Speak to them more. Have them give you an update on what you can do, what you can handle. A lot of people come to me. Maybe it's a conversation over a phone call, and guess what? They have their accountant on the phone. They're trying to hear what I have to say, and whether they like it or not, what's ultimately going to matter is the numbers. And so you have to get your finances together, and that's what's going to hurt right now in this next part. So if it hurts, it's good. If it doesn't hurt, then I don't know what you're expecting. So always best, especially that underneath those types of financing, as opposed to the SBA. It's a bit different. And if you're already swamped into large monthly rent, credit card payments, and more, a huge lump sum per month is only going to dig into your business, and it's going to hurt you even more to add more, even personal credit, to add more stress for you, and you're more likely to default as opposed to having a daily, weekly repayment. You know what's coming out, and there's no fluctuations a lot of the times. It depends on the type that you get. But if you have strong cash flow, that's what I said here. It's good to strong, then it helps. Otherwise, you're going to be like, well, no, I don't want these daily, weekly repayments. Well, yeah, you know that you're not in a good position. You're not going to use this money for, you're just using it for surviving. You're using it for business operational, paying your rent, paying off debt. Where is this going to go for? I'm going to get a new office building. I'm going to get a new piece of equipment. I'm going to put this into marketing and advertising. I'm going to put $1 in, get $3 out. There's none of that. Or there is, it's just not enough. Like, you're going to be making more payments here. You're not going to have enough remaining in your bank statements to reflect that. And so you're going to be struggling to even justify this. So whatever you hear out there from people saying, well, these don't make sense. Yeah, they don't make sense. That's the truth. It sucks, but I don't say that to anybody. It's just, that's the truth. You don't make sense. And I'm not saying that to be negative, and I don't never say that to somebody. I'm not like that. That's not my character at all. It's just, the truth is, I'll tell you it in a better, more sweeter, nicer way if you need to hear it that way. Hey, what didn't make sense was you didn't understand your finances. You didn't understand what you were getting yourself into. Nobody educated you on how this works, what you could actually qualify for, how much you can actually take on, which I'm going to get into in a moment. Otherwise, I can't see why you wouldn't do it. So if cash flow is a problem, be careful. Your benefit doesn't exceed the repayment. Like I said in the beginning, I spent a good amount of time on that. You don't have a purpose to double, triple, and even quadruple your revenue. I know we're a bit over time, guys. I know I said I'm trying to get this done. I know it's been a little bit over the 20 or 30 minute mark. So appreciate you guys for being in here. Your benefit doesn't exceed the repayment. You don't have purpose to double, triple, and even quadruple your revenue in the short and even in the long term. A lot of people think that because they take a cash advance, they think it's just a short-term gain. No, it could be short and or long-term. Just depends on how you look at it and how you're using those funds. Maybe come back and get more. That's what I recommend. Now, how do we get you from maybe a daily, weekly where you feel more comfortable to take on a monthly? That's another question to answer, and that's what you do over time. You build a relationship. You start somewhere. You need the funds now. Well, go fix your revenue. Go fix your business credit. Don't complain. Start with what you can get, or if what you got was not enough, or what you said was too much, how can we look at scaling back? If there's flexibility, if I speak to my lender and they go, well, I gave you 40,000. Yeah, we can start with 20,000 because that'll drop your repayment. Then let's try and do that. If not, this is what it's available. And we never give you something that you can't handle. So just keep that in mind. So it's less about the interest rate here. Let me come up here. Yes. So it's less about the interest rate or remittance schedule you pay back on, rather focus on generating more cash flow all year, trying to get a longer term if possible. If not, begin where you are and move up and focus on the repayment above it all. Most business owners don't keep track of their accounting and finances. This is what causes a lot of unnecessary fear. I see this every day. I deal with people on this. It's more, yeah, a lot of it is their accounting and finances. They don't understand that. And they haven't even taken the time to understand it well enough. You simply don't understand your expenses from your gross and net revenue generated in a much more on a longer and larger sample. Sit down and get a handle on it, and you'll have a better sense of what you can take on. I had a business owner the other day. I don't want a month. I don't want a daily or weekly. Well, Do you understand your finances? Okay, truth hurts, but you got to go get that done. Go take care of it. And I told him how this works. Like, you can't get a monthly repayment. It just won't work for you right now. But I have a long-term vision for you. I'm not saying you're going to have to just keep taking those types of financing. If it works, it works. However, there are other ways of doing this, and you have to go up. That's why building the right strategic partnership with myself and having that roadmap to carry you from what you're getting now to what it could be in 3 to 6 months or maybe in a year's plus worth. But you have to have that long-term vision in mind, and you have to get yourself immersed in it. So you have to change your vision first and foremost. You have to start somewhere and work your way up. You can't just get everything you want either, giving up collateral without giving up collateral, increasing your revenue and or credit and a few other things. You can't keep thinking you're entitled and 100% deserving of it because you have a lot of time in your businesses. I hear that excuse all the time. But I have 20 years in business. Yeah, but you don't have the revenue. You don't have the credit. It's not going to work that way. Well, they should be giving me a monthly. Nobody should be giving you anything. What are you proving? Or because you have strong credit or revenue, but you don't get how this works. Or maybe it's usually this. So maybe it's an educational issue, and that's what it usually is. You don't understand how this actually works. And it's okay. It's not your fault. There's a lot of people out there showing you what's wrong. There's a lot of people who create content who don't know the stuff that I do. And because I know this, is because I keep up to date with my market. I'm in touch with my underwriters and lenders literally every day. Honestly, they're more than happy to share with me everything. And not only from them that it comes from, but it all comes through my experience and knowing how to do all this. So you can't just get everything and feeling entitled. So it's maybe an educational issue. I know it hurts, but you got to face the reality. You need a strategic way of moving up levels and the right roadmap, which I spoke about. And I can help you with that. Usually I put that in the questionnaire down below as a part of it. Until then, you'll be complaining, getting frustrated, and always looking for something that literally doesn't exist. Oh, how many people do that? So whenever we speak, all I ask of you are two things. One, be open-minded. Two, please give me feedback. I'm going to put this in green. Well, being open-minded, first and foremost. Secondly, whenever I need feedback, I've discussed to you how this process works, that I may have to get a hold of you to get some more feedback or maybe a little bit more documentation, especially with SBA loans, higher docs. Will you be there as I am there for you? Are you going to commit, or are somewhere in the process you're just going to run away? You're going to go out of town without telling me. That's not right. I mean, it's common sense. Like, you're going to go out of town. I'm going to tell this person, like, if they're handling my file. Like, it goes without being said. Why would you do something like that? So it, to me, doesn't matter how much money you make in your business. To me, it isn't about how successful I have been profitably, and my customers will buy this and that. What I care about is your character. You tell me a lot about yourself when you do something. I spoke to a good friend who's in the real estate investing side. He had a similar issue, but I told him, above everything, it's morality. It's about your character. He told me about a situation where he had a person who was going out of town. I've been there. I told him, you know what it is above everything? Your character. I don't care if you make 50 million a month. What I care about is your character first. If I spoke to you in person, who are you? I'll get to know you. Whether I say it in one or two sentences, I don't have to say too much, I'll understand. Now, if that's a conflict, then maybe it is time to work on that. It's okay. It's never too late to work on yourself, work on your personal development. I'm not a guru, but I work on myself every single day to have the right character, to build my character, to build the business. To build my character, I have to build my business that way. So you can't just get everything like that. You need a strategic partnership. You're going to keep complaining. Be open-minded. Please give me feedback. Did you learn something new today? If you're ready to form a strategic partnership and have the right roadmap to help you build, then let me know, and so forth. So that's what I want to leave it with. Let me move this. I had another, because we're running way over time now, I'll just quickly go through this document then, and then we'll conclude. I'll go through the comments in a moment here, guys. I'll leave Q&A for the end. So let's go through this. We already went through it once, so I'm going to quickly just go through the 8 issues denying you capital and how you can fix them. I already spoke about this in another video, but I'll just quickly run through it. And what I said here are the main issues, 8 main issues holding you back from getting alternative small business capital. 1, poor credit history. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to get into all of the details. I already spoke about this in a previous slide. Number 2, limited cash flow. 3, lack of a solid business plan. 4, and that depends on what type of financing you're getting to, by the way, how much you're getting. You're disorganized and you lack funding education. That's the one that hurts, but it's the truth. Number 5, you have too many applications started. Lenders can see you applying to a lot of different places. Don't be that individual who applies everywhere and anywhere. We see you in our system. I know what the lenders see. And it is crazy how many times people go and apply and they do the spray and pray method. And they go looking for the lowest price. They go window shopping and then maybe walk into the store. They pull an item from the shelf and then they put it back. Then they go to the next one. It's okay to shop around. I'm not saying that. That'll be my next point. What I'm saying is be strategic about how you're doing it. You may be going to the wrong marketplace. You may be going to the wrong direct lender or indirect lender. So it actually behooves you to do that limited, to do less of it. When you speak to somebody like myself, whether you've done it already a lot or not, it won't happen in the future because you've come to somebody who has your best interest at heart. Number 6, you didn't shop around enough. And again, that's quote unquote, be considerate about that. Don't just shop around anywhere and everywhere. Be careful about what you're doing. There's a lot of places out there that are not the best for you. 7, patience. I've learned this. Patience. Number 8, you fail to seek expert advice. And that's what I wanted to put at the end because it's the truth. A lot of people fail to see that they need a business loan broker by their side who understands everything, who's going to be there for them, not going to let them hang dry and be like, what do I do next, and so forth. And there's just a little bit more information here that I put. So now let me move out from this and show you guys the questionnaire form, and I'll conclude with comments. I know I went a little bit longer, guys. Like I said, I was going to try to cut this short. You guys know me right now. We've been around for some time. So this is the questionnaire form that I have left down below in the description. It'll look like this more or less. Sometimes I update it with a few more things, but it's all in there. And you can get the funding your business needs fast. Complete the questionnaire form below to get a personalized and customized email response for your best funding option and options. Plus, you will get a free 6-step pre-approval lending checklist to get you approved for funding much faster. So things like your name, email, phone number, please put mobile preferred. I won't harass you. I will not heckle you or pressure you or anything like that. What this is for is once you submit that and I respond back via email, then I'll let you know via your mobile number. Business number, I can't even get a hold of you. If you're just going to fill this out, not even look for my email, not even be aware that it may be in your spam box. You didn't even put a mobile number. I have to call a business number, and it goes to the gatekeeper, and I have to call back 2 to 3 times. They say they left you a message, but then you never responded back. What the heck is that? I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't mind speaking to them. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, why are we doing this? Why did I just put all this energy and time to that, to something that didn't even turn out? Like, I have a lot of people right now who got all the information they need, and they take action. They're like, yeah, I'll do it. I got it. You're very clear and concise with me, Michael, like nobody else has been. I appreciate the way you do things. Literally, they appreciate the way I do things because somebody else would have been like very lenient. They wouldn't have, put their hand on their shoulder and guided them and told them, hey, it's time. You have all the information you need. You sucked up some of this extra energy and time that we didn't even need to spend on, but you disappeared for 2 months. So you wanted another phone call or next week or another one to follow up on because that's what you have. That's your process, your old school mindset. And there are moments for it that it makes sense. Other times it doesn't. It's time to move on. It's time to get started. You have all the information you need. But so you wanted to take more time from me. That's what you're saying, just to gather more information, which is okay. But you have it all. Maybe you just had another question. Maybe it was just you wanted to hear my voice, or you wanted to explain to me a little bit more about your expansion project or projects, et cetera, your situation. But a lot of that can be done much faster in a different medium. And there are times for a phone call that it makes sense. So your phone number, mobile preferred. Funding amount requested. And I'll say something like, hey, I just sent you an email with the subject line. Please look for this. Funding amount requesting, time in business is years or months. Please don't just put a number. God. Every time I see a number there, like it says years or months. Don't just jump the gun and say, okay, 5. And then, oh, okay, 5. You know, I missed this one. And a lot of people will miss this. They just don't even give me an answer. They're like, I don't even know if they have. That's a huge thing. Why do you think I need this? Like I said earlier, if you don't have business credit established, it doesn't give you the type of financing that you're probably seeking. So I need to know that. Otherwise, I'm just not giving you the correct and most accurate information. And that's not my fault now, is it? So your name, your email, your phone number, mobile preferred, funding amount that you are requesting, your time in business, please specify. You can put Y or M, but just give me something. If it's nothing, put 0. Just better not to leave it blank. And a lot of this I have required fields. FICO credit score, I'm not a creditor. I don't use this information against you. It is very safe and secure. You have my 110% promise. And it's for me to gauge an understanding because I pre-underwrite the files. People asked me the other day, why do I need my file? Why do I need to provide you my FICO? First of all, I'm not a creditor. Don't use this information. I don't spread it across. It's safe and secure. It's between you and I. It's confidential before anything goes to an application. I pre-underwrite files. Before it goes into underwriting, I know what can happen. I can give you a ballpark estimate. This is the rate you're looking at. This is the range. This is the type of lender. This is the A tier, B, C tier, boom, plus tier. This is what it'll look like compared to an unsecured term loan with a cash advance. This is what it'll look like with an SBA loan when they look at this with underwriting. I need to know what range you fall in. Otherwise, I'm saying, hey, you're going to get something like this, and you're going to be like, well, that wasn't accurate enough. How do I know? I thought he was supposed to give me more information. Well, you didn't see that last email that I sent you. I sent you a text. I followed up with you for a week, once or twice. I didn't have to bombard you. You're an adult. And I get you get busy. The excuse at a point can't be, I run a business, 6-figure business. Everybody gets busy. I have 3-4 businesses I have to run to. But I'm showing up. What it means to me is your character. What it means to me is your commitment. Those are the 2 things that I see. I don't say it. I just know it. I get a lot of text messages, and there's processes. Can you send me a text? I have this phone shut off for sales. I'm not a sales guy. Like this is part of the sales stuff that happens, but I'm here to help you. I'm not a sales guy. I don't pressure. I've never been a salesman or anything. I don't like that at all. For me, I didn't grow up through that. I grew up academically doing things. So back to this. Your lowest monthly revenue. So please put the business credit here. Establish yes or no. Lowest monthly revenue in the last 3 months. Average monthly revenue, average daily bank balance, annual gross revenue. Highest monthly sales in the last 6 months, estimated if need be. Average monthly gross sales in the last 6 months, estimate that if need be. What are your use of funds? There's a whole lot to select from. Look, if you're in this case, if you are purchasing an existing business, please list your existing business details in this, not the business you're trying to purchase. You can tell me more details of the purchase business you're trying to acquire in the additional notes if need be. Okay, so you can put that in that section. And you should have an existing business because that's a lot of what we primarily go off is your existing business. And there are startup cases, but we want the existing business a lot of times. Existing business loan, yes or no, makes a big difference if I know that. When do you start? Or when do you need your funds? Today, tomorrow, next month. It shows me like, okay, they're not ready for it now, which is okay, which I'll put my gas off the pedal with following up with them about it. Business industry, what's your business name? Any additional notes you'd like to share, exact use of funds, expectations, etc. For expansion, please specify. Input none if not, but please specify if it's for that. So it'll look like this more or less. Could look different over time, the form, but that's what you have. And it'll be down below in the description. So I'm going to leave it with that in this video. I have another tab that I left open about strategic partnerships and roadmaps that you guys have likely seen. But I'm going to go to the comment section right now. Hi, Ibuka. Over here, it is good afternoon, but I can see what time it is over there. Yeah, happy new month to you too. I've been quite busy. Just so you know, it is kind of hard to get you funded. I'm going to be honest with you. Like where you are located, realistically, no lender is going to lend to. And that could be personal / startup loans included. You may have to go an alternative route. But those are going to be hard. Like if you're not US, Puerto Rico, Canada, those are much more harder locations to fund. It's just very difficult, specifically because of your bank. Like Julio will know this. He's in Puerto Rico, and we had to ask questions of his banking. Who are you banking with? And is it U.S. based, Puerto Rican based? How many deposits? We have to look at it in depth. But that's another case. Puerto Rico is a bit easier than we would say where your current location is. So I know you've been sending me messages. I've just been quite busy. I can't get back to everybody at every second that they expect me to. I know there are appointments, and I do meet them. Although sometimes right now, like I can't always get back to you and tell you, oh, I can't make it. And then those are the circumstances that sometimes, and I apologize. Other cases I do. Other cases I'm just like working so hard. But I will get back to you guys. And Julio, you're on top of my list. I will get that information out to you. Just so you know, I know you're going to ask me that. And so you'll have more information of it and what you can do. Now let me come over here to the top. Tanisha, welcome in. I know you've been in here for quite some time and you commented earlier. Just again, I didn't get around to everybody in the comment section. This time I wanted to leave it towards the end. You're asking, so you only help established businesses that are generating consistent cash flow? Nope. I help out all. Like when people ask me, like I had a person the other day asking me, what do I specialize in? What kind of deals do you fund? Like they were asking me about a certain like direct lender or program, and I go, all of them. Maybe they haven't come across somebody like myself, and I go, well, I fund all of them. I worked specifically with one industry, and then I started to grow and evolve. I wasn't always I didn't just go into a generalist. I started somewhere, then I grew, and so I have a well-rounded foundation in every type of industry. Something new comes up, it's very rare, but it's a new business, and yeah, that's an underlying circumstances. So it's not with just established. I have content out there for those that are not established, startups, but it is quite harder to fund them. And what I recommend is doing a form of business credit building with the credit line hybrid program. And that's where you're putting credit cards stacking together, and you can get a good guarantor. If you don't have a sufficient credit score, you can have somebody else that they can trust you with. That's a very attractive solution until you're getting your business revenue generating more income. You have the supplies you need, you have the equipment, enough of it at least to get you moving in the 2, 3, 4, 5,000 plus per month. But you guys don't see that. And I see that every single day. I'm not saying that I'm saying that as you don't see it. Not crazy. I'm not saying that. But you don't see that. And I share that with a lot of you, but you guys don't take advantage of it. That's the other problem. Those of you who take advantage of it, kudos. You're making my life a lot easier, and I appreciate you for doing that. Like I said, I'll try to get back to you. You have business credit, 88. Oh, nice. Good job, Tanisha. If you're still in here watching on the 88 Paydex. 95 Experian Biz. Oh, in 55, Equifax Biz. All right. So you're well on your way. And so much of a concern wouldn't be your business credit. It would have to match your personal credit and business are two separate things. So we'd have to evaluate personal credit with business credit and determine credit worthiness. So it can be fluctuation. Depends on the service. Like SBA loans, yeah, we'll want to see the two. Lines of credit, we'll want to see them. Merchant cash advances and all these other cases are more for personal credit. They don't report to business credit bureaus. It's personal credit only in a lot of the cases. So it just depends on the service, and there are quite a few more. Yeah, have a good day too. I'm sure you're not in here because I know you commented on this at 12:06. It is 12:13 now. See, Julio, like I said, he is in the building. Exactly. All good things come from. I was having this realization, I almost wanted to shed a tear, and it's very hard for me too. The last time I really did was when I lost my dog, and it was back in February 28th of this year. So I thought about him a little bit more as I was having dinner last night. I sat on my table, and I pray a lot before I eat, and so it's weird that I say this. I don't know if you guys have done this before. It is kind of weird, but like I'll even pray and I'll think about my grandma, my grandpa, and a few people that I've lost, and especially my dog brother. I have a younger brother right now, but my dog brother who passed at 15 years of age for kidney problems, the latest stages. And I had seen him struggling so badly. Like, he couldn't even get any water in, couldn't have any food. We had to give him liquid broth. So I saw him at his most vulnerable. Like, it's one thing seeing your family, it's one thing visiting them, your grandma, grandpa, whoever it is. It's another thing when you are doing it every day with, like, my dog, the closest person that I was closest to, my dog brother. That's why I stayed so long, to help my dog brother. And having had to feed him and all the troubles he went through, is just seeing him at his weakest and seeing him at his most vulnerable. And I wouldn't say, he accepted, he looked like he had accepted it. I wouldn't say he was fearing everything or anything. It's just when you see something like that, somebody just passing away in your arms, somebody who only has so much to breathe in and they can't, and you only have a couple of minutes with them, and you tell them, hey, everything will be okay. I'll see you one day. Just wait for me at the other side of the rainbow. I'll be there with my grandma, my grandpa, and our family. In the meantime, go to your dog family and go say hi to everybody. And so, having to take him into the bed and all that. And so it was like, when people ask me what's my why I do what I do and what pushes me, I already had a strong reason to get in business. This wasn't the primary one. But over time, like, working from home and seeing all of that, that gave me more purpose. Like, seeing somebody, like, dying in your hands, waking up every day, them trying to just breathe in any kind of air they can get, and crying at night. And we eventually had to say, hey, it's time. And I was there for him every step of the way. I was strong, but I was hurting like hell. And even now, it's like, it's healing, but it's still there. You know what I mean? It's still all. And so every time I get a chance to speak to him, it's like, hey, I'm having food. I want this energy to supplement you as well. Because he used to love burgers. He used to love meat. He was that kind of dog. And so I'm like, every time we brought him food, it was like he was so happy about it. And so I know it sounds kind of weird. I don't know if you guys have ever done this, but I do my prayer and I think about my dog and I go, hey, I welcome you to feast, to have this meal with me, through me, like the body of Christ when you go to church. And it sounds kind of weird, but I don't think it is. I think it's just like not a coping thing. It's just a way of, hey, I know you've passed. I don't know what's happening there, but you're still here. And so that's what I want to leave it with. I don't want to go any further into the subject, but I do appreciate all your guys' time. I know we have no more questions, nothing more coming into the comments. Again, this is more of a spontaneous. I know you guys see me go on live on Thursdays, so this is kind of already expected at a different time though. But if you guys don't see me again like this during the rest of the week on live, if you're waiting for me to respond back to you on your questionnaire or a few other things, I will get back to you. You've emailed me. I will get back to you again. Questionnaire forms, anything related. Fridays and Saturdays are my catch-up days. So I will get back to you. And look, this is my dog right here. He's my dog brother right there. His name is Gizmo. See, I don't speak about him in the past tense because I've already come to terms with it. But I speak to him about, like, in the present sense, like, his name is Gizmo. No, his name was. His name is. And so, yeah, I really just changed. Like before he passed, my grandma passed like a month before. That was hard. My grandpa had already passed before that. And then another month comes by and I got to take this on now. And so even though a lot of this stuff happens, a lot of good comes from it. Like, you guys have to realize that you're in a position, like, you should be fighting like it's life or death every single day. You go into your office or you're working from home, however you do things. Don't take any day for granted. Every day, be purposeful. Focus on the action, not the result or the outcome. The outcome will come because of the actions you're taking every day, and you're being purposeful. You're doing it right. And so that's what I do every day. I think about somebody like literally passing. I can pass away. Somebody in my family can if I don't complete this. And so that's the mentality that I've taken for some time now. But that's it. I'm going to leave it there. Appreciate you all for tuning in. Let me scroll back up here to the comments, make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, that'll be all enough. I know you guys don't want to continue to hear me talking about things like that. And perhaps you do, but I don't want to go any further than what I have already touched upon. So I will speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.